Hey, how are we?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Carew Show 2.0. I have a very, very special guest, author and fellow martial artist of Warrior's Path
Thank you very much.
and spiritual mentor, Neil Palmer. Welcome to the Carew Show.
Thank you very much. Just like I was saying before, I'd like to start off just to say condolence, obviously, to Master Fumia, who sadly just passed away. I was up early, must have been about 5 o'clock this morning, out to the sea, watching the sunrise this morning, just sending a little blessing out to the true warriors. You know what I mean? It's not about just physical; it's having that whole connection. So a little blessing was sent out.
Of course. Yeah, it's a real honor, and
Yeah.
for sort of Sensei Master Fumo there, it's one of those things, unfortunately, when what a warrior's passing in there, it's quite overwhelming for the fellow martial artists
Community.
as
Yeah.
well, because a lot of people don't realise that there's so many of us as fellow martial artists. You would be surprised if we were able to connect in that sort of global sort of network. There's a lot more of us than what we think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I was very, very shocked, Neil, with the actual sort of response in regards to when a fellow martial artist's passing. It can be quite overwhelming. I remember the first time in my life when I was watching a Bruce Lee film about his life.
Yeah.
And due down to my own self-ignorance, I wasn't aware that he'd passed. And you should have seen the tears streaming down my eyes when my mum said to me, "Yeah, we passed," and then
you kind of like, what, when?
And I'm like, "What? When did this happen?" Yeah. Yeah, and I was like, "You weren't even born then." It was like in the 70s. I'm like, "No way!" I'm like,
well, again, the the true high legends like himself, their story lives on within our hearts and out there now in the whole wide world. It was amazing by doing this connection and having podcasts, books, all that type of stuff. And that's what it's about. The Warrior's Path is containing some of that wisdom, not even the wisdom. It's more of the why he chose to be that path. Why did he chose to walk that path? And that's what I like to read about people. Like I've got a few people sending over stuff for book 2. And I've had to reply saying, unfortunately, is there anything you can do to change it? Because some of it's just the list of achievements. And obviously that's perfectly fine to go in the book. But I wanna know why. Who is that person behind that front? Why did you get into martial arts? What's it helped you with? If you're a student, or a teacher, you don't have to be a grandmaster or a master or a black belt. You could be, 2 grades in, and like I was explaining to one of my friends, the book is about a person who's really trying to open up. So you could be like a male or a female that's gone through trauma, physical violence, or anything like that, and they've came to martial arts, what's in their local community, and it's gave them that sense of finding themselves again, that home, all that energy to kind of conquer that fear and to be a bit more bolder and just to keep going. You know what I mean? Good morning, Wayne, and obviously a big shout out to oi, as Wayne would say, to Wayne, because obviously on the first book Wayne helped a lot with promoting it and finding martial artists and finding the right ones who need to open up and share their story. And obviously Daz, aka Mr. Banana Man, he's going to be in the book too. And obviously I can't wait to meet him at the Hall of Fame as well as everybody else. It's amazing. Mr. Banana. That's great. But yeah, how are we all today? Who's on it? But yeah, that's kind of like what the book is about. It's I don't have a copy of it myself yet because obviously I've been away on holiday and then trying to sort everything out financially and then finding that balance. I've not even managed to purchase it myself yet, so that'll be coming soon, and then I'll be taking them to the Hall of Fame if anybody likes to purchase them there. But I can't wait. I'm actually eating one a banana on my break. What's he like?
Oh, Sensei, Daz.
Yeah.
Oh, Renshi.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow. I look forward to seeing you all there on the 6th and the 7th.
Yeah.
In regards to the martial arts, what was the build up of this journey, Neil? From being a fellow martial artists like ourselves to being an author. How did that come about in thinking, right, okay, you've got such a wide range of collection of even a wider network than most people can fathom, and to be able to put people in what, there's another book coming out. Would you be able to sort of indulge in more in that?
Elaborate so obviously I've got 2 grandmasters, one being Rodel Digduck. I can never pronounce his last name. Grandmaster Rodel, Smoking Sticks, RNS system. And that was my first style that we got into with Master Alan Whiteside. So he's my main teacher. And through the process of working with Master Alan Whiteside, we ended up meeting Harry Bernard, so Grandmaster Harry Bernard, doing the Sikaram. And must have been earlier this year that I ended up getting the vice president of the UK to start spreading it over here. What was amazing to have that honoured to me. So obviously Master Alan put me forwards for it. And it's good. And hopefully now we're going to spread out around and start networking the Sikaram. But coming back to the book, and that's like I never even thought of building a book, but one of our main instructors, Master Clarence, he passed away not long ago, and he had so much wisdom within himself, and he would only show you glimpse, so we're doing the trapping work, and then he'd be like, but if you do this here and just hone this bit here, or just this little pressure point here, or you come in with this, and it opens you up a little bit further into your martial arts. You think you're getting there, and then they show you something else, and you're like, oh my god, I'm still a white belt. As they say, a black belt is still a white belt. Your training only just starts, when you start to grasp the dynamics of it all. But for me, it started when I was younger. So obviously, like a lot of people will know now in the book, I was homeless at around about 16 years old, lived in a tent, and through that kind of trauma, I ended up finding my spirituality, started opening myself up again. Tomorrow will be the 13th anniversary of being drug free. So I went really in a deep hole into I would say the depths of hell. Really, I was, lost. But luckily my family kind of seen it. I didn't speak to them for many years, and then they pulled me away, moved me where I am today. And that's when I end up meeting my partner, who I've been with for 12 years now, nearly 13 years. I've got 3 stepchildren, and I've got 2 of my own that live in this house. So there's 5 kids in the house. It's hectic. But then I met Master Alan, and he's seen the process that I was working through. I was doing the breath work. So I'm a shamanic healer, Reiki master. There's loads of stuff. I do spiritual readings like that. There's a massive range, but like I try and say to people, but the most of it, I'm me. You know what I mean? I'm here to help, to spread wisdom, and to help that person on their path. And for many years, I've taught people for free. Only recently, I've started to turn it into a business, like the martial arts school that we have, Grosvenor Martial Arts. We do that as volunteers in our local community. We don't take a wage from it. The money that we do get goes back into the equipment, back into taking the kids or doing stuff. And we're trying to get the council involved, because ideally I want to feed the kids. So around here where we are, we've got a bit of a, like most places, you have that area that's a bit not doing so well, so we're trying to raise money to help the community, to do certain things to really, to boost spirits and show them what we're about. Like when COVID came along, we were the first, I would say probably one of the first people in the whole of the UK to do the food bank, because soon as we shut down, because obviously Wallasey was one of the first patients came straight here to Wallasey. My partner worked in the hospital in Carew Park where the first cases came over. So we all kind of knew what was going to kind of come about. And then Master Alan was like, right, we'll just shut shop, we'll close down, we'll start doing all the food banks, we'll get on the big supermarkets. And I think we must have smashed about 25 up to about 30,000 houses, just handing out parcels, helping people. And we just find it, we sit back and we giggle because like he will kill me for this because he's very old school and doesn't like to be, applauded for anything.
Oh.
Well, hats off to that man. He sits in the shadows quietly, as you should do. But he does so much for the community and no one recognizes it. And I look at him and I just think, he's just in awe in a way because he just does so much for our local people. Which I find fantastic. Neil, you should be super proud. You have come through. Yeah, I have come through a lot. Like, thanks, Daz. But it's the process of that path, and that's why we created the book. You know what I mean? I wasn't even thinking about making it. It wasn't on my journal. It wasn't kind of my journey what I was wanted to go to. I have lots of spiritual books. I've got books on teaching people how to be Reiki masters, or shamanic healers, or connecting to their inner spirit animal, or figuring out their path in life. So there's a recent thing that I've done that's like the 369 code to the universe and unlocking your inner self and seeing yourself for who you really are and branching forwards and pushing through them barriers. And then also at the same time building book 2 at the moment, I had a big massive spiritual download the other day because I'm now a womb healer, so I can hold space for women and men to kind of the womb healing area. So when you go through trauma, so obviously through the lineage line of females and males, the egg from the female goes from your mother to your grandmother to her grandmother. Then eggs are constantly in that that generation line. And then through their trauma is passed over to your nan, and through her trauma is passed on to your mother, and then from her trauma in life gets passed on to you. And the little traits that we don't see. So I was doing I got a poster here, my certificate the other day off one of my friends, Claire.
Ooh.
And we were doing the rites so I can be able to do this. And through that, I ended up seeing this massive stone plate put on my chest that I had to remove. And there's just lots of this mud inside the womb healing, like the womb area that I had to clean out. And when I was looking at it, it looked like the I Ching symbol. So if you're on my wall, you'll see that I'm posting loads of things at the moment to do with I Ching because I can do that style of reading. But the plate itself, I thought, wow, what's this? Why is it here? And through going deeper into research, I've actually found a person back in like 5,000 years ago, really old school back, where he's holding this plate, this stone plate on his chest. And it was like, wow. And then when you listen to his story and you read who that person was about, it's exactly what I'm trying to do, is give back to the people and kind of conquer the wasn't it, they didn't call them kings, did they? I can't think off the top of my head. The emperor. So they were he was standing up to the emperor to say to the villagers, you can fish, you can drink the water. It's not just his, it's all of ours. And that's kind of what I've been doing. I've been spreading the wisdom to help people on their path. And it's a bit like the warrior's path. It's about the wisdom of martial arts to help brighten the next generation, because so much information is getting lost. Everything's getting you can't do this, or you can't do specific things because it's all health and a lot of health and safety these days. But if you want to train at home or do specific things, you want to find that, you know, that sacred knowledge that's trapped away. Sorry, I'm getting messages constantly at the side as well.
Well, we'll tend to get that now. You know, more of these lives, we get more people. We appreciate it. Thank you for your
That's all right.
compliments and your comments. With the martial arts, was it more just a hobby to start off with, a passion, or was it something that you thought, as you were growing up, you thought, right, this is what I want to do? Because I know a lot of the times, you know, there are other fellow martial artists. Some of them have been born into it.
Yeah.
Some are either teaching through because of other sort of lineage that they have, you know, through other grandmasters, or even like yourself. You know, how did you come about martial arts itself? Was it something that you grew up with, or an interest?
No. So when I was younger, I was very much into gymnastics and roller skating, motorbikes, BMXing, very outdoor, child. I mean, I never seen anything really martial arts related, except from like the Power Rangers or the Matrix, and that always, as you know, you see these type of things, and it always captures you, especially the Matrix, obviously, because my name's Neil and his name is Neo, and just that whole that's the fight scene where they're just in the dojo, and I remember seeing that and thinking, I know obviously it's a lot more choreographed, like open, but it's not. It was just seeing that, and I was like, wow. And then it wasn't until I came where I am now, was taking my eldest stepson to help him with self-defense, and I think he must have lasted 2 weeks. But I just fell in love. As soon as I seen Arne, as soon as I saw the stick system and the trapping system in Jeet Kune Do, it was just amazing. It just opened my world, you know what I mean? And it's fantastic to be able to share the knowledge I've received to pass it on to the kids now and see them do something and be like, bang, bang, and then like, did I just do that? I'm like, yeah, see, you can. You just got to believe in yourself. You just got to breathe. It's great.
I love hearing these stories, Neil, because I think every life experience is very valuable, you know, from every martial artist that you hear. And it must be quite a gift, you know, to be able to have, you know, not just the knowledge, but also the amount of martial artists that you've been able to put into the books. Because you've got more books coming up now. You know, what would you say in the foreseeable future, other than just? But would you consider maybe even help it, because you're coaching and as an instructor, as a teacher, you know, would you be able to go a bit further than that, you know, and like be able to do certain things where, you know, because you've been discovered and also been having sort of noticed, you know, having recognition for having all these martial artists as well as yourself in these great books, would you choreograph? Would you teach other people? And you know, if you would something, you know, and they said to you, right, Neil, Mr. Neil Palmer, I'd like to offer you this role because we've noticed you would suit this particular character. You know, there's a lot of times. What kind of character would you play?
I don't know. I like the quiet one. You know, the one kind of sat in a booth, you know, having a meal with someone and just relax. And I always like in the story that I've put, I don't like seeing people. I've always can't stand people getting bullied. So one of my old school friends, Stephen Crane, you know, fantastic lad, full of laughter, joy, but he was a bit short, high pitched voice, and always got picked, you know, like just bullies, you know what I mean? And not just him, but there's, you know, a lady that was, well, a girl who was in a wheelchair, who had brittle bones disease. And I was always drawn to people that were a little bit more vulnerable and needed a bit more protection. I never knew why. And again, spirituality helped me open all that type of knowledge of why I'd done that. But seeing him, and then the bully would come past, and as soon as they would say something, I'd be like, stand this side. And as he came past, it was you know, and then something would come out and you'd be like, why did I do that? And then you go back and you'll see something, or you'd be like, Steve would be like, look at this picture on this video on YouTube of this person. And that's when I first seen It Man. And he was doing, you know, with his hands. And I thought, that's like what we did, you know, the other day with that. It's just, that's what it's just about helping the person. So if I had to take a role, it'd be a person just sat in a booth like this, you know, nice and quiet, having a meal, trying to chill. Someone's kicking off at the bar over there, and it'd be like, can you you know, keep it down, please, mate? You know, I'm trying to have something here, and then it'd come over, and as he comes over, it'd be like, bang on the hand, pull slide, and I've told you, you know, just leave it now, and just, and that'd be a nice little thing, because people don't see a lot of stuff from sitting positions.
It's true. And it's usually stand up, isn't it? Mainly stand up when you're in close quarters, stand up. But it'd be quite nice actually to see something like that, because a lot of the time, you know, it reminds me of like a Jack Reacher sort of film. Like he's the mysterious one, you know, where you're like yourself. It sounds like you'd probably be suited to a role like that, where rather than just being the character where they're always thinking, you know, oh, we know who the main character is, but it could be like a beginning part of where people will see that they don't identify you being the main character until
that's what I love about martial arts. They look at me and they don't see
exactly
a person that knows stuff, and it makes me laugh. So there's a person at the school who does Thai boxing. And obviously he comes in and he knows I do a bit of martial arts, but everyone sees martial arts as, it's funny when you just like, as a style where it's all kind of like, you know, like, you know what I mean? It's not, you don't do martial arts because you don't go and pound someone's face in constantly in training. And I said, well, come down. I said, we do Jeet Kune Do and, you know, and a few other styles like Salat and stuff like that. You know, and just come in. So obviously he came in to do a few things, went to go to hit me, and all I went in is checked his hand and just a little backhand to the face, and he went, he just looked at me to say, how did you just trap my hand? You know what I mean? Because he'd come in full blast and it was just like boom, boom, boom. And he's like, hey, you're quick, you. And I was like, it's not about being quick and strong. It's about staying relaxed and calm and just feel, you know, just the more you relax, the more you focus yourself. It's just that energy kind of slows down a little bit. I don't know. It's weird.
This is it. The thing is, as you go on, you know, part of a journey as a martial artist, a lot of the time where you get a lot of beginners that don't understand this. There's certain things like when I first encountered something, and you could probably relate to this, like you mentioned, you know, and not rightly so. You know, the gentleman put his arm out, you know, and went to strike you. I think a lot of the time people perceive what they want to perceive on the visual sort of aspect, as well as the sort of the energy as well. You know, I'm not going to go into the technical stuff too much, but I've noticed that if you use it right, because it's made for combat and now it's more self-defense. Now this energy flow that people tend to, you know, get if they're not aware of it, you know, without, you know, just pardoning those ignorant to it and not aware of it. The energy flow, like, with the Japanese ki or ki, or the Chinese the chi. Now, even like you would do like on video games, they call it the energy level, the energy flow. What they have when you on impact of blows. Now, a lot of the time people go for the physical aspect, but what they don't realize, there's a lot more to it, the science behind it, because there's a science behind it of why certain things happen in a particular way, why things look so dynamic, quick and efficient, you know, and then the energy flow that goes with it. Now, when you do that, a lot of the time people slow things down like on film, but what they don't realize in realistic form, all the simple stuff they get shown, you know, like with the holds and moves and the grapples and everything, a lot of the time I think people don't realize is not what they see the same in film. Now, most people know this in regards to the way they kick, the way they punch, the way they strike, how you hold yourself in terms of all these stereotypes of where people will look at someone with martial arts. The first thing they will see is Karate Kid wearing
Yeah.
a gi, noises that Bruce Lee makes, all the stereotypes
Yes.
going, and the ones like the sort of the main one that most people would know in the Police Academy films, where you've got Officer Jones doing the dubbed, old martial art sort of films where the old martial art films where they are, they're dubbed, where
Yeah.
they do the lip movement, wake me, like that, with
You
the
will
lips
come.
moving.
And thank you
Yeah,
too.
yeah, exactly. And this is it, all the stereotypes, all the fun sort of parts in it. But, on the sort of level of where the martial arts is, I think a lot of the time people go in, think not always seeing it for how it is until they actually reach the dojo.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think also the time is, I've spoken to a lot of fellow martial artists and martial artists as well behind the camera. Now it gets to the point where I think, what is their sole purpose of why they do martial arts?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think for myself, it's my own self-discovery. It's more of finding my roots, as like you mentioned, the warrior's journey, the warrior's path. Because, a lot of the time it's not always about those at high level, with having the black belt. It's all stereotype. You still have other warriors that are not even have a belt that have different styles.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing multiple styles or disciplines, and they may not have reached the black belt level yet, but they still, a lot of the time where people they see that as the end goal.
Yeah.
How would you perceive, the changes now, your insight of martial arts in how you would have seen it from when you started up to now? And there must have been a lot of, things that have evolved over time, and sudden subtle changes that you may have noticed.
Yeah, definitely there has been. It's like when we teach the kids, obviously you can't go into great detail with them. So as they start to, like my son, sort of take into, he's 9 years old now. He started since he was like a baby. Same with my daughter. She's 3 years old and she's just getting into it. And she can do 10 locks. She's only 3 years old and she can do 10 locks. But again, it's showing them, okay, we can do 10 locks from here. Now we've got to step it up a bit and we've got to go, you go on to the next stage. And then a lot of people, they'll come in for the first couple of classes and be like, this is, I'm not going to get much out of this. I can kick already. I can do this already. And it's like, you can't show them, like that, the good stuff yet, because we got to kind of earn it. But over time, that's the kind of grasping them, because kids these days, they've got a phone. If they want to learn something, they go, I can just go on TikTok, or I can just go on this, I can just do this. And and it's that's not what it's about. It's about having the heart, having the dedication, and to really just finding yourself again. Why are you wanting to take up martial arts? It's just like when I teach Reiki to people, I won't teach everybody. I'll only teach people that have a specific light or a specific energy within them. Like if I look at you now, like I was saying the other day, I can see your aura and that stands out. So like I said, I'll give you a little live reading. So your aura is yellow, green and blue. So that represents to me that your energy connects here a lot in your solar plexus and a lot in your heart, because you have lots of personal, powerful energy that links to the heart space. But that sometimes can be your downfall in a way, because you're so joyful and happy and bubbly, you take everything to heart. So the slightest comment, the slightest tut at you, the little niggle or little whatever will go to that heart space, and you'll feel that drop in the belly, that but you're clear seeing. You have this blue aura that's around the outside that represents the third eye. It represents that you can see stuff before it will become. Like you can have an idea and you can see the outcome of what it's going to become, if that makes sense, because your heart and your passion, the your personal power, sorry, it's when it's in tuned, will really open up your vision. So before I was coming on live, they were showing me how it felt like your father figure was coming through for me when I was sitting here, and he was saying that there's some reconnection work that you need to do on on yourself. So maybe spend a bit of time breathing in this heart space and bringing back some of your personal energy, kind of calling upon whatever, the universe, the guides, call for that protection, call for that energy back into yourself, and really feel the energy cords go back in here. So me personally, I place one, my right hand on my solar plexus, just below the rib cage, and one on the heart space. Breathe that energy as a cycle, feel the infinity, kind of moving forwards. And when you feel that calmness, you'll feel the energy then rise and kind of start beaming out through your third eye. So when you feel that energy come in, it's kind of like visualize your abundance, that now what you want, because your energy is now in the right place and you feel that calmness. Now think and activate your abundance. When you start to see this, you'll understand that you've honed in judgment against yourself. It's kind of like you've been looking in a mirror, they were telling me, and you're not quite feeling your worth. You're not quite feeling that like that kind of, something's been holding you back, something's been pulling you. Do I do this? Shall I give up? And you're kind of like, no, I'm going to keep at it. I got to do the travel. I've come so far now. I've got to stay on this boat and I've got to carry on to show me this canal. And you've got to keep flowing, but don't rush it. Just make sure everything's smooth, everything's calm, because that's going to create that new beginning for you. Because once you start to flow nicely, this new beginning will create that new blessing. But you've got to trust it. And that's where it comes back into this spot. You need to trust what you're seeing, what you're believing in yourself. And when you start to harness that self-worth and that self-passion, it feels like the family life, because they're showing me this rainbow. So rainbows normally represents family, that there's going to be a stronger connection in the family, because there's kind of been a balance up and down. So you need to find that harmony. They're showing me that you need to kind of work life and family life. You got to kind of, understand the time between. They keep showing me that you're juggling work and you're juggling family. It's finding that balance. It's as soon as you find it, that love will emerge again. That kind of energy will, again, your father figure was popping in. So I don't know if there's been something going on there. But I don't know if it's a seek of love of approval, or they're just showing me him when I was saying love. It's like there's a weight. The world is kind of pushing you down, and your light is really, really, sorry, going deep here for everyone, but your light has been holding down, and it's that forgiveness. You need to forgive yourself. And once you understand that the pressure is all this stuff that you're thinking about is just you. And when you release that, and stop holding that judgment on yourself, and you forgive yourself and the people around you, you'll understand your path. Because the first number is number 3. It's a rose quartz. It's about self-love. Everything happens for a reason. We're here right now on this live to start something, to really create something, and we've got to be bold. And that's why we come on live. It's getting rid of that anxiety, getting rid of that pressure, going for it, taking that opportunity, no matter what the opportunity is, because you're only here in this physical form for this first time over. You might come back. Some people believe coming back in a different form, depending on what religion you're in. But just, you got to seize everything and really, really treasure them small moments. I try my best. That's how I create that balance between building the book, doing martial arts, doing all my spiritual work, and family life. I like weekends. You gotta. I constantly. You'll now you're on my Facebook page. You'll see that I'm away. I was away last week, even if it's just a day. I find the cheapest place to stay and walk and just do everything. That's just a place to sleep. You know what I mean? Like, the kids don't have to have luxury. They can sleep on the floor. We're gonna go out tomorrow. That's what it is. Yeah.
This is great, because I get the times of where I think you're spot on, and what you're saying is quite funny, because the time I started seeing things as well as the martial arts was I was on an airplane several years ago, heading towards the Philippines to go and see family members. And it was really odd because I felt this overwhelming sort of energy thing. I just sort of my feeling towards, you know, everything, what I was doing. And it was strange because I think most of us here, you know, we do take things for granted. And, you know, whether it's taking a shower to eating, you know, eating in a particular way, and like even drinking when you drink, you know,
I try and treasure everything. It's like I've
Is
got
it?
I've got an online retreat for people to reconnect to their inner power again. So we're doing a water blessing. You can do it with your cup of tea, anything. And it's kind of going back to that. I made a post the other day. It's going back to that traditional time of the samurai. So what the samurais would do when they're going for their tea, their matcha, they would enter this room, and as they're sitting there meditating, you know, they could be facing the warrior in front of them that they're about to go slaughter on the field. You know what I mean? Inside this, it's safe zone. Your weapons stay outside. You come in, you sit, you listen to the water boiling. You're really taking the emotions of your family. So like, again, we could sit here, you can really pay attention, focus on the surrounding sounds around you, breathing in that energy, and then feel that energy rise and coming out the third eye, and visualize your family, visualize the beach, visualize something that brings you joy. And when you start to see that, so it could be your parents or whatever brings you joy, focus on that, either 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you feels right for you. Focus on that joy. And when you start to see it, create this golden bubble around it. And then just as you breathe in, visualize that energy coming back up through a cord, back into the third eye, and just sinking down into the heart space. And then once you finish, make sure you do a little blessing. And that's where you would pick up your cup of tea. You would hold the cup, feel its warmth, feel its energy, feel its vibration, smell it again. You know, so you're taking in all them sensations, and then just have a little sip. And then, you know, match is only small, you know what I mean? You don't have to have a big, massive cup of tea or anything. I find it really, I do it for people. I make them a bowl of matcha when they come round to my house, and then they'll just pick it up and go drink. And I'd be like, what are you doing? I said, there's a whole process of, it's funny.
The journey that everyone's going through, it reminds me when I was introduced to yourself and even referred by Punun Guru, Wayne Hunt, and some other martial artists, is that when he mentioned something about your book, the Warrior's Path, it reminded me of the way of the peaceful warrior, where people journey with you know, with in regards to the way this book and this film was sort of actually portrayed, because it wasn't just a spiritual journey. It was also the philosophy and the way everything is, you know, how we take things for granted. And one of the best things that had where the character Socrates and Nick Nolte in it was where the actual character he said something about how most of us, we attract a lot of this stuff where it's all the toxicity, the rubbish, and how he eloquently put it, his analogy was to take out the rubbish. What you have here is to take out your rubbish every day, you know, even before you go to bed, when you're doing something, because we may not see it, but we absorb it, we all take it all, and then I think that's what it is. That's why we take, us as human beings,
as human beings, we hold the frequency. And when we are moving through our frequency line, you know, when something happens to you, if you feel joy, you see your kid, like my little daughter, ride the bike for her first time, that sense of joy raised the frequency within the body. But if someone was over say next to me and being like, oh, watch me car, boom, your frequency level will drop. Their energy is now connecting to you. Their rubbish, they are they are a dump truck that's been around collecting everybody's stress all day at work or whatever, and then they've just piled it on you. So you got to make sure that you're calm and just releasing it all. And that's a part of the shamanic journey that I do, is teaching people the thoughts that are in your head, that are kind of the spirit, the energy that's in your head that says that you're not worthy, or you're not beautiful, or you can't do this, or you can't do that. It's finding that inner spirit, nothing from angels or all that. There's loads of different things people call upon in the spiritual community. But it's finding your inner diamond again, finding that inner soul, calling your energy forwards again, like what I was saying to you, hone these energies and call back your power. When you start to call back your power, ask for them to raise the frequency in the body. Can they show you anywhere energy's trapped? So energy trapped for you could be here in the back, because as I was saying that just now, my back started twinging. So it's either you, yourself, or me, because as we work as empaths, we can take on the physical emotions of someone else who's on this live, you know what I mean? So when your spirit starts to talk to you, you might feel a twinge in the foot, or you might feel the nerve twitching in your neck, and that could be the emotion that from someone else's dump truck that's piled on you. And when you ask yourself, so you say out loud or internally, can you remove this pain? Can you remove this sludge, or remove the energy that's lowering my frequency for me? And then before you allow it to move back to a place of unconditional love and light, does it have a message for me? Why is it causing me pain? Why am I thinking this way? And then you get your answer, and you're like, thank you. Now you can release to a place of unconditional love and light. And I'm sorry for holding on to you. I didn't mean for your energy to attract onto me, because obviously when we're higher, we're like a lighthouse. So when our frequency gets high, moths to a flame, you know what I mean? We're the flame, and the moth, all that. The higher you go, the more pain you're going to, in a way, receive. It's just learning to keep the boats at bay, as they would.
Yeah, what I like about this is that I think more over time, our own experiences, it becomes, I think, not just about the physical aspect of martial arts. I think there's more. I don't know why myself. No doubt you'd probably, you'll discover this yourself with myself. Not just going back through the roots of martial arts, because as a sort of fellow martial artist with Arnis and Philippine martial arts, I was very intrigued with the history of it. When it comes to martial arts, I think so many different styles have sort of come on board, where it's become one of those things where the systems no longer stay just grassroots, because I've noticed that a lot of martial arts has become very adaptive to the way people are with the type of environment, the way people are, what they use, how they counteract certain things, and be very adaptive. I think it's good to have grassroots, but I think I'm also open to being able to have, like Bruce Lee was, at the time, where he was one of the pioneers of the martial arts, adapting to certain styles and openings, because that's the reason for why he never had a style, because a lot of the people will say, well, like karate, people misperceive karate as being just the sole martial arts because you're wearing a gi and a belt, but there's so many other different martial arts out there, which some of the ones I didn't even hear of until I started looking at magazines, reading into it more. From like as far as going back India, Java, Java, Indonesia, and then you got even like going as far as areas of the other parts of Asia, Japan, China, even further back, and even as far as I wasn't even aware of as well. it doesn't have to be sort of stereotypical Asian martial arts. There's also, as a form of martial arts, around the time of when there were stories of Troy, in the film Troy. They had
Yeah.
a lot of people there where they were using swords, shields, combatants, even the Spartans.
Mm.
It was all a form of combat and martial arts, and a lot of the time people misperceive it as a martial art would be just solely in the Far East or an Asian thing. It's very
Yeah.
stereotypical. This is what I love about the history of it, and then even going through the spiritual part. What's your insight on this? Because I've noticed in the Philippine martial arts, they're very superstitious.
Yeah.
What is your insight on this? Because there was like I mentioned this on one of my episodes before. They have this amulet. Now I know it's screamadors and Anistadors will be aware of this. They're very superstitious.
Hmm.
And I remember there was an episode with Chris Credelli, and I was watching with the kick-ass moves, and I thought, what the heck? And I thought, as myself as a Filipino, I wasn't aware of this because obviously,
Yeah.
it's not one of those things where you think, well, oh, just because I'm from the Philippines, I'll be aware of this and I know this. Even people from the Philippines that are living there now, probably some of them may not be aware of it unless they're into their Philippine martial arts. It's
Yeah.
part of it.
Well, there's a
Unless
person called is it the Karate Nerd, who's on YouTube and stuff like that, and he recently done a video saying that tradition. Hold me up for it, you know what I mean? But he done a video about Okinawa, the traditional form of karate that actually had really strong, similar stuff to the Filipinos, the Filipino martial arts. And
yeah,
he was saying maybe that the traditional version of karate came from the Philippines, because the empty hand, the hubud, I absolutely love hubud. I'm like, I love it. I just love the fact that it goes from empty hand to sticky knife to double stick to jumper to anything. It's adaptable for everything, and that's one of the main things I love teaching the kids, because some of the kids would be like, "Why are we playing patter cake? Why are we playing it? And they make me laugh. Um, but then once we explain to them, right, well, okay, this time I'm going to go get a knife out the cupboard, obviously training knives, but they look like the real stuff. And then they'll come in with a nice pick, and they go like that, and they go like that, and they trap you, and then they do a lock number 3, and they take this, and they go, and you're just seeing the cogs turn in their head. It's just like, it's amazing. And to know that maybe that the traditional version of a lot of the martial arts may have came from the Philippines as well, and having that lineage line of Grandmaster Rodell, aka Smoking Sticks. It's just it's great to have that knowledge passed from him to Master Allen, and then for me to receive it as well. It's just it feels humbled and honoured. You know what I mean?
do you find that I think over time, because I tend to feel that the reason why the sort of martial arts saves us is because there's a lot more to it other than just obviously the self-defense part. There's a lot of it's more of the togetherness as well, because
Yeah, the family, the community.
the
It's
community that it brings.
mm,
Because a lot of the time, when you become part of the martial arts community, I remember, I think the first time I didn't realize how much of a big network of like a family we
yeah,
are. When when once people know that you're a fellow martial artist, obviously those that are, there may be other guys that have sort of branched out onto MMA, and gone into
yeah,
sort of different parts of martial arts. Now, I think, if there was a time where you could go back in time, if you had a time machine or anything like that, or there'd be somebody there where I think I'm going to merge the two questions together now, so it'd be intertwined. It'd be quite, I'm usually I separate these, but
yeah,
on the same sort of questions and the same sort of questioning that I would usually give is that if you was to have that sort of sense of control to go back in time or forward into the future and be able to see someone historically and even sort of now, what would you be discussing, and where would you be sort of sat,
See, for me, I do love the history of it all. Just to be sat with someone and just have that conversation of who taught them. Tell me not just about you, because obviously we've met and I know a little about you, but I want to know about who did you learn your wisdom from? Who did you get your stuff from? And like if I had to go back in time, I wouldn't, because it's made me who I am today. Like it's hard, like doing that whole tent stuff and all that. There's so much energy that came from that. Like hand on heart, I wouldn't be where I am today without going through that darkness. Because if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't have been able to help. Literally, I'm not, I don't like to put ego on things, but worldwide, because obviously I use my social media for my spiritual stuff, I've helped change a lot of people's lives. And it's from alcoholics to people who have been locked in a cupboard for 2 weeks, really traumatic incidents that have helped people battle through and they've overcome. And then even someone who's lost a child, this lady's came to me and she said she wanted a reading. She ended up, but if I didn't have that path beforehand, I probably wouldn't have opened all this type of stuff up. And she wanted a reading, and I said, "Oh, this feels like a little girl in spirit around you, this, that, and the other." And she said, "Well, recently she did have a miscarriage." I was like, "Okay, don't tell me anymore." And then a daughter was telling, well, the spirit was telling me that, "But you had a son the following year." And she was like, "Yes." And she was like, "Well, she's telling me she had to not sacrifice, but she had to wait. She had to release her energy from being born, because if she was born, you wouldn't have had him. Is that right?" And she goes, "Yes, because I've been trying and trying and trying for a girl." I said, "But she's coming." She was telling me that her energy is coming back to you. You are going to be falling pregnant in around March, she was showing me. And it must have been a year later, the woman messaged me and she said, "I am absolutely blown away by you, Neil." Guess what? I went, "What?" "I already knew." She went, "I'm pregnant." I said, "Congratulations." So many months later, she didn't want to know what the birth was. She had a baby girl. And she fell pregnant in March as well. So it's just amazing to be able to help someone kind of release the stress, what they're holding up, and then for the miracles to happen. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But it's crazy.
That's amazing. But what would you say in terms of what you've noticed and what you've seen over time? Because I know with myself, it took a bit of time. Now, a lot of people, they get into a position where they go, "Yeah, I knew what I was going to do. I planned all this, I did that." But I would never have thought in a million years that I would be able to get onto this platform of what I'm doing now, of what I love doing, and to be able to get to a position where I have, I'm honored to be able to have even like yourself on my show, on the Phil Carew Show 2.0, and more people to come, and it's quite overwhelming for me sometimes. I must admit that, even my son, Riley, just to give him a shout out there, I know later he'll be like, "Oh, thanks, Dad." Bless him. Yeah, he keeps saying, "Oh, Dad, why did you mention me?" I said, "Well, you're one of the reasons why I was inspired to start this." Because I was always, it wasn't more of just a doubt, it was just knowing when
Yes.
what to do. And I think it was more of sometimes when, I thought I needed that level of sort of recognition, but I think it was more of knowing that even, not feeling patronized by my own son, but being told by my own son that, "Dad, this is what you love doing. And then when I found my area, and this isn't to sort of put a dampers on any other guests that I've had on before, but I think I found an area where not just martial arts, but people that have come on and those who will come on later on have got that level of recognition. I think it's
Mhm.
mainly to do with highlighting people's sort of level of where they haven't had that level of recognition at all
Yeah, yeah,
on this particular level. Because most people, um, they they get to the point of where they've only just had not just shaking the hand. That means a lot. Being your hand shook, to a
hmm
pat on the back, and but being able to use this to my advantage, and to even be able to maximize it to share with the world, because a lot of the
yeah,
people, they don't realize. I said, well, actually, to be honest, with those who are not even watching this right now and that will be watching it on the replay, this is
yeah.
actually live on the Facebook Live on the Phil Carew Show 2.0, also on my YouTube channel, the Phil Carew Show, and LinkedIn as well. So, people don't realize that this is like the next best thing, as it would be as if you and I are talking in
Face to
physical
face. Yeah,
face
yeah,
to face. And I think the reality of it as well, in myself as well, is when I started trying to go back into using martial arts in my life, because it's transferable. It isn't about just the combat and the physical aspect of learning to
yeah.
actually, self-defense. It's also um, everything else behind it, the principles of it. Because I think some of the
Yeah.
times, we forget when we go back onto the sort of principles of what the martial arts was, and well, with the discipline and the togetherness, all of those other principles, we start to realize everything else integrating together. You're
hmm
integrating all those principles physically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, or
Yeah.
however you want to see it, and
It
that's
is.
what it is.
When you bring it all together, it is like your own little counselling session. I feel because you've taken on that physical form to feel more strong and proud in yourself, but you're also linking with the emotion of, okay, why did I start this process? Why? And then people, like, I still find it overwhelming. Like, going to the Hall of Fame. I remember being in awe, just being there with Bob and with everyone, and it was just like I went into the local um, bookshop where I live, and I found these magazines, and I was like, these are, and when I was like, is that the, because I didn't know he had magazines, Bob, at the time. So I was like, right, I'm buying them all. I'm buying, because because that's how closed I was to the martial arts world. I only knew the people in my circle, like I said before, the grandmasters and stuff like that, and the people that we trained with. And it's just coming about this book, and through connections through people in USA, and obviously Wayne, who had done fantastic at promoting the book to people out there. And obviously big shout out to Phil Morsley. He came to the house, gave me one of his fantastic posters, and it was great to meet him. And we took a few photographs and stuff. And I'm going to be seeing him on the Sunday at the UK Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, I'm only there this Saturday. I'm going up on Thursday. But again, like I say, if you have an opportunity to spend time with the family, you got to take it. So I'm going up on the Thursday. We're staying at a place on the way. Then we're going out to get to the zoo nice and early. When we get to Doncaster, we're going to spend the time in the zoo on the Friday. On the Saturday, Hall of Fame day. Can't wait to train everyone, to train with everyone and to meet them all. Daz messaged me, and I've never met him before, but you connect and you talk to the community of martial arts people, and he's like, I'm going to bring you down the badge of our logo, for our school. I want to present this to you at the Hall of Fame. And it's just like, it's amazing to just have that recognition from another school to it's just, for me, it's just like, wow, you mad, you crazy, me, wow, no, but even to have that passed down from my master, from Master Alan Whiteside, for him to pass down the Sikaran to me to represent the UK. It was just like, like my partner, she's the completely opposite to me. Nothing spirituality. She thinks it's heebie-deebie stuff. Martial arts, she sees it as pointless. This, that, and the other. Because she's very scientific mind. She's a nurse, so she's like, you don't have time to do. She sees it because I don't get paid for it, because I do it as like a volunteer. She sees it as it's a hobby. You need to start making, because I'm the lady of the house, as they would say. So I look after the kids. I do the tea. I do the cleaning. I take care of all that type of stuff. And obviously I get paid through my spirituality stuff, helping people on their path. But she's like, we've got to get a good 9-to-5 job. And I'm like, no, I worked in a school like 2 years, I think it's 2 years ago. I worked in a school, and it just made me feel sick, just doing something that you just don't enjoy. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, why do people put themselves through this torture of, I understand they need to make money, but I think that's a process of being homeless again. I don't see money as value. I don't know, because I didn't have it. And you start to think, well, you can survive. You can survive. I've done it, so we can. And it's just, I just find it very humble that I've got my partner, you know what I mean? Because she is, if it wasn't for her, and obviously Master Alan, it wouldn't be about, you know what I mean? It wouldn't be who I am today without their support, and without them kind of pushing me, saying, no, it's okay, you can keep going. Like my whole back room here, we had a shop. I went away on holiday, came back to the shop, and the person that owned the shop told me, like, I've got someone new, you can't be going on holiday. And I'm like, well, this is my business. If I want to go away on holiday, it's okay. I can close shop, And she was a bit funny. So my partner said, why don't we just use the back room? So I've got, like, this is my website. It's a bit hard to see, but the lights off. So I've got all my crystals in that cabinet behind, kind of here. And then all my awards for the Hall of Fame and stuff is up there. And then my bed gets pulled out, or I've got like my giant Buddha and stuff. You probably can't even see Buddha and stuff on the floor. So we do like big healing circles in here and stuff like that. And then during the winter, and then during the summer, it's a lot more out there. But we're trying to get a new building.
Wow.
And then combined all the spirituality stuff with our martial arts stuff. That's our next step, and feeding the community. And I also have this vision of, I want to support other martial arts schools. So even if it is, so imagine, like, I was thinking this in my head, imagine at Hall of Fame, everyone put in £1 in a pot. How much would be there? There's easily 1,000 people that are going there. There's going to be tons of people. Imagine all them people putting £1 in a pot, yeah, and there's a winner. Everyone throws in a ticket, £1 ticket, and that person wins £1,000 towards their dojo to buy new equipment. That's in my head. I want to do something to kind of each month or each week, because what's £1? To some people, what's £1? If we get 1,000 people live on a stream, and everyone throws in £1 to donate, and we go, right, this week we're going to send the money to India to help this family who go to this local martial arts school, or just to really create their school a better school to help teach the kids and the adults. That's something I want to try and get the organization of that we're in to kind of push for. But it's just liability, and who's it going to, and is it a lottery, and and it's like, no, it's just supporting another family, just that's the plan. That's my little take I want to try and do.
That sounds great. And just to sort of wrap things up, as well as being a Hall of Famer, what was it like to actually, for the first time, meet? Is it the first time? Just to sort of make sure that I just want to get this.
Yeah. First time I met Bob. First time I met Andrew. His chi, his aura. I was just in awe of him, because obviously I talked to him a bit, and Bob, about Reiki and stuff like that. So being there with all the people, and I met Sensei Rick Smith, who's going to be there this year. I think he's there this year. Coming out the toilets, coming out the toilets, and he's just talking to me, and it was just amazing to speak to, another legend. So we're chatting away, and he's like, "What system do you do?" And I'm saying, I do the RNS system, Filipino martial arts, stick fighting and stuff like that. And he's saying, he does the nunchaku. He's he is it world champion nunchaku or UK. He has a big ownership, for the United Kingdom in nunchaku. And I started just before COVID. It says in the book, I started my training with him. So I've done my first grading with Sensei Rick Smith, and he's a good teacher. I learned a lot of nunchuck because in our style we don't really do nunchaku, so I wanted to learn it, and I just picked it up quite quickly, and hopefully when I got some more money, I want to carry on the training, and then that's like another chapter, another little piece. Like, I don't know if Bruce Lee said it, but your toolbox, you got to fill your toolbox with tools, and you got to use that tool to be able to adapt to the situation. Something I tell the kids, you might not use this, you might not do the inside block, you might like the outside block, that might be your favorite thing, but I'm just showing you so you can have it as a just in case, because if someone comes in and you've got to go, ooh, that's the best type of block. If you're frightened, you got anxiety, what's your natural response? Okay, well, we're going to shift that, and you're going to go, yeah. So when you do that, just get right underneath that chin, push the face and get out. It's not, you don't have to do.
God. No, what I love about this is, just to let the audience know, is that I've been looking forward to this. It's not just having martial artists, but also authors as well. It's that the question I'd like to ask as well, just before we go, because it's always, most people think it's always martial arts, but there's always something that I always like to ask people on my interviews. Did you actually have a favorite toy when you was growing up? Because a lot of us, when we're growing up, some people might not be, into, having toys. They may not have been fortunate enough, just because of their childhood or anything like that. But I think those who were, fortunate enough to get a toy, what was it?
So I'm going back to when you said it, do you know what I envisioned is being at my granddad's at Christmas Day and having this little teeny motorbike that went down the ramp. Is it? I can't even think of what he's called. Knievel, is it? What's his name? The person who used to ride on the motorbikes and used to fly up the ramps. Yeah, that's it. It was that toy, and it would go down this ramp and go through the hoop, and then it would land, and then it would just across the floor. I used to play with that for hours. So that's probably one of my favorite toys. Is that?
Do you know what I love is when I've gone abroad, everywhere, when I see a child, where you hear them, where about having a toy, and then when they get given something, how much they value even something so minuscule and simple. That's what I love, and that kind of awareness as well sort of made me realize that even involving in the martial arts as well, is that when you start something new, or even going back, like as if it's like a refresher, there's nothing wrong with going back and seeing it from a different perspective. It's like watching a film where when you watch it the second time or the third time, or when you witness something, in that moment of a scene, you think, hold on a moment, I didn't see that last time. But it was always there, because you're seeing it from another perspective, because whereas before you're always seeing it like that.
Tunnel vision, yeah.
Tunnel vision, whereas when you look out more that way, in more depth, in the sense of I'll think of it in a moment. When you see sort of more like a panoramic,
sort of on the surroundings,
wider view, you see things so differently, because I think it's the same with anything. When you're doing anything, that's why you start to change, and like Fununguru Wayne Hunt mentioned as well, you have to adapt because
Oh
of the
yeah.
times and the way things are. It's no longer the times of where each, I don't know, several years ago, people, they won't use just empty hand. They'll use anything now.
Oh yeah. They'll just grab anything.
Yeah, grab anything, everything, and anything, and it's more of the matter of if that person is attacking you, and it's more of survival now.
Mm.
And just to sort of let everyone know, thank you everyone that have tuned in on the Field Crew Show 2.0, and it's great having the actual one and only Neil Palmer. I've been really honoured because not just being an author of a book, but also as a fellow martial artist. Now, I think most of you guys out there, what would your message be, to those who haven't, who are still new and wanting to start? Because I know there'd be a lot of people out there when they're like, oh, this looks interesting, but for the right reasons, because there are a lot of people that do go there. I've noticed this or witnessed myself over time where you hear people go to the dojos for the wrong reasons, and what would you say is to those who are unaware but of their own their expectations? I don't want people to be disappointed and think, oh, hang on a minute, you want to go in and you think, oh, you're going to end up wanting to kick someone's butt, and it's not all about that.
No. Well,
your message
in our martial arts, in our school, we have we get a lot of people with autism, ADHD, some of the kids have been through, violence in the home place. So they come in and they're a bit like, ooh, do you do sparring? And we're like, yeah. And they're like, oh, I don't want to do it anymore. I said, Mum, I want to go. And they lock up. We're like, no, we're fine. We're like a family. We'll support you. We'll look after you. We don't do sparring and stuff like that, whatever. Tell them something to encourage them. And it's like, right, come with me. We'll do some one-to-one stuff. But again, it's getting them to understand the reason why they want to come, because you got to have the heart. You know what I mean? Anybody can do martial arts. Doesn't matter what, we've had people wheelchairs. We've had, it doesn't matter who you are. Anyone can do martial arts to the highest standards of what their abilities are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's about kind of, if they've got the heart, they will see it through to the end. You know what I mean? Because it's not like they all say, it's not just the art, it's the way of life. It is when you find something and you have that passion, and then you start everyone coming in now because of the first book, that harmony and that friendship we're all making. And I'm trying to not put the same amount of people in the second book, like yourself. I've put you in the second book because your path of doing these for me is so worthy. It doesn't matter about the martial arts background, like you've sent me, is incredible as well. But that alone doesn't really, I wouldn't say matters to me. But doing this is a way of a path, a way of a heart, a way of spreading truth. And that is what I love, seeing someone open themselves up to martial arts and really kind of seeing someone do something for the first time and just seeing them cogs turn. And when they turn, you can feel them feel so proud of themselves. But then that makes you feel proud and you go, that is why I love doing what I do, because you said you couldn't do it. And there's no such thing as can't, because look at you now. It is good. It's just, that's what I just love about it. As you can tell, my face is glowing.
Oh, thank you very much. And everybody, if you're not sure what we've been discussing and talking about, it'd be great to sort of hear what your comments and your views are on the replay on the Field Crew Show 2.0. We're actually live streaming on Facebook Live and on LinkedIn, and also my YouTube channel, the Field Carew Show. Feel free to subscribe. Don't forget to press the subscribe button, and there'll be some more information about the Warrior's Path as well. There'll be a link through where it'll be available to purchase, and also some more information about what Neil Palmer's doing at the UK Martial Arts Show in May the sixth. Was it just the 6th? You'll be there
I'll be just there on the Saturday, yeah, the 6th.
on the 6th.
But I'll be floating on the 7th. I'll be here and there. I might pop up on Sunday because I've got to drop some books off to Phil, who's been waiting them to send off to some other people as well. So some people might grab me there. But the books, if you're at the Hall of Fame, they will be on. Oh, where were they? I've lost it from my head. They are on stall John Harvey. I couldn't think then. Oh, Grandmaster John Harvey. He's got a stall there, and he's also in the first book. And he said he's more than welcome to have the books on his stall. So there'll only be a limited edition, maybe 10, with the brand new cover that's on there with the dragon that no one else is. I don't think anyone's purchased yet because I changed the cover because my person who's meant to check over the books was a bit not so clever and missed out a few words on the back of the book. So it's been altered. So hopefully the brand new book will be spot on as well.
Oh, Neil, do you know what? I was actually, the funny you should say that because when you mentioned about myself being in one of the books, that's kind of opened up a lot of things for all of you folks now. That was something that I wanted Neil Palmer himself to let you know because, you know, now he's opened up to you to let you know. I feel honoured being on one of the books now. It's out there now, folks. So when it does come out in the foreseeable future, yes, it's official now. Neil Palmer's just mentioned it. I am going to be in one of his books. So I thought I'd keep that under wraps, but now he's mentioned it to you guys. It's official now, and you know, I feel really honoured. So, guys, watch this space. Yes, I will be in one of Neil Palmer's books, and yeah, I thought I'd sort of.
And if anybody else watching who has a story to tell, and something that they've overcome, and they want to share that, and that they feel like now is the time to share it, you know, they're welcome to email me, or message me on Facebook or whatever, and we can talk from there just to kind of grasp what the book's about a bit more. Obviously, everyone, if you watch this from the start to finish, you'll understand the whole journey. But yeah, thank you very much for having me on the show. Many blessings to you all.
Oh, thank you very much, Neil. You know, it's about time. You know, another fellow martial artist. You know, highlighting, you know, and giving people more recognition for what they've done. You know, and it's great. And it was also be an honor being in one of the books as well, up and coming foreseeable future. So watch this space, folks.
Yeah.
You know, you've heard it live now. You know, it's official. I will be on the one of the books. So I feel really honoured. It's an emotional one for me now.
Well, this will be the last book. I was only going to make the one because obviously I have so many spiritual books that I'm building. But yeah, the second opportunity I felt was amazing. Load of high-end martial artists. They started contacting me saying, I want to be in the second one. I said, I've not got one. Build one. Okay. So it's great to have, like you said, yourself and stuff, everyone in there. It's really coming together already.
Oh, wow, folks. Right. You know, just to let you know that a few people that actually have come on, Renshi Daz Stirat and Punong Guru Wayne Hunt, amongst other martial artists I may not have mentioned. But if you check out the Warrior's Path books, they've actually got all the other martial artists that I haven't mentioned yet. There's so many to mention, but I will.
So many world class are in the first one. People are blown away by how many amazing world class martial artists. Even I am like, it's the network of creating family of, you know, that's how we spread the word. It's just amazing.
Oh wow, folks! Like I said, it's one of those things. It still hasn't sunk in yet, but when when it does come out, I will let you know. And you know, obviously with Neil Palmer as well, he'll send me some information in regarding to from the book that's out now, and then some other books that'll be out with myself in it. And there'll be other guys out there and ladies as well, ladies and gents that are in other books, which I will mention with other martial artists, because you know, there's so many Hall of Famers out there, which
Oh,
I
yeah.
will get onto the show in the foreseeable future. Just to let you know as well, just before I go, Phil Moulton, bodyguard and fellow martial artist, will be coming on this week in one of my episodes, just to sort of let you know before I go. It's one of one of those amazing opportunities that I've grabbed because of yes, I'm going to shout you out again, Penonguru Wayne Hunt, because it wouldn't be great. I wouldn't have these great people on the on the show, the Phil Carew Show 2.0. Right, folks, we're going to have to love you and leave you. Thank you very much once again for those tuning in. Like I said, don't forget to press the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. We are also live on the following platforms: Facebook Live, LinkedIn, and also possibly in the foreseeable future, very close foreseeable future, I will transfer all my previous episodes up to now onto Spotify. But when that happens, I'll let you know, guys and ladies and gents, know. Thank you very much once again, and welcome.
Thank you again.
And it's been a real honor. I've really enjoyed our interview, and thank you very much for those.
You're more than welcome. Take it easy, everyone. Thank you again. Peace, love and light. Take care.